Is there any recap from this morning? Anything you thought about since this morning that you need to go back and add? All right, then let's move on to the Army Corps of Engineers project. Iris has, and I signed a letter asking them to give us an extension at this point. So the ball is now in their court. You know, Iris had a very real concern, and I agree totally with her, in that in the letter they sent us, if we had turned it down, they said that we jeopardized federal funds, which, you know, would get after hurricanes and stuff like that, which would be a very precarious situation. So, rather than us saying no, we asked an extension. So if they do it, we do have some comeback. Your thoughts?
All we can do. That's all.
So right now, we have not heard from them, correct, Iris?
No, ma'am.
We just seen it, what, last week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the meantime, we need to touch base with Senator Graham's office if he's not knee deep in new administration, and make sure that they understand that we would like this included in what is the WR, funding in this coming year. So is there any objection to us contacting Senator Graham's office and asking for that consideration?
No.
Okay. And that needs to go on our to-do list, Iris.
Yes, ma'am.
Holiday schedule. My concern when this came up before is that there were so many contiguous dates off together. So, there's nothing to be done about it this time because we've already voted on next year's calendar. But I would like to get council's input, because you know, we have a lot of people that come down and they're here over the holidays. Well, if they try to get something done at town hall, they may not get it done because you could be closed 3 straight work days. So we need to look at that in the future. If you would put that on your seek a solution list. Because we've already done next year. We moved one of the days from Christmas to the Friday before New Year's. So that we
Now,
had-
that was for this past year, was it not?
no, it's for this coming year. We were voting on 2021.
I see. Okay, all right. Because I do have a concern about this. The way it was before, it gave the opportunity for some people, or I think we ought to at least provide the opportunity for some people to have that longer weekend, based on seniority and, you know, family being out of town and that kind of thing, where they need that extra time to travel.
Patty, they did not get a day taken away.
I know that.
If they had a long weekend and they wanted to take the entire week, they would have to take 3 days of vacation time. This way, if they still want the entire week, they still take 3 days of vacation time. It's just a wash. It just keeps town hall from being closed for so many days straight. So, you know, it was not a punitive thing. It was the fact that, you know, it was so many days straight and nobody could come in and get anything done. You know, we're here to serve the public. The other thing too is, if you look at our holiday schedule, it's very, very generous. If you look at other places' schedules, it's not quite so open-ended. We're getting, what, 16?
We get 15 and it's based on the state holiday schedule.
And there's one floating day, so that
No,
makes,
it's 15 with the float, right? This is based on the state holiday schedule, and that's how it's been for a long time.
Except where we don't get Confederate Memorials, and the state gives that.
well, but you have a floating day for that.
No, we added that as a floating day that, if we have, like say a storm and we need to take a day off, that day would be used towards that. So it may be used, it may not be used, and it's at the discretion of the county.
And of course, we get election day when it's president.
And I think that's where it got to be, problematic is when you have the elections that come in there, also. Because if it's a general election, we're off that day because we have people that are in here and in the facility. And that's been like that since I started working here.
We did that years ago.
Yeah.
We did that years ago since this is polling place.
Right, I mean, that's, like I said, that's been like that since I started.
But, we've done next year, but when you look at next year's calendar, just be aware that you need to look at how the days are scheduled.
We did do some research on that. We did some research on that, what other people are doing, and we can provide it.
Okay.
Okay, and I just, one other thing I'd like to say is that I really think we ought to poll our staff and see what they would prefer. And if it was determined that they prefer the former way, that we just make sure that each department is covered.
We do that. We make sure that each department is covered. I know that there's been numerous holidays when the department heads have been here, when staff have taken off,
Right.
for the holidays or time off or vacations. We've been here. I know Patrick and I sat here many a times when we've been, and now Mark, the only people that are here and other people have taken time off, so we're covering the town hall.
Good. So, and getting like that, if the staff preferred it the other way, I would love for us to do what the staff would prefer, as long as we're covered.
You know, Patty, I agree to a certain extent, but if you ask what staff prefers, they'd be adding days. To be quite blunt.
Well, we're talking about two choices. The way it is right now, or the way it was before. And it's just one day we're talking about.
Anybody else? But we do have complaints about people not being able to get anything done. So, Jerome, you want to address this image design of Edisto request?
Well, I could, but, let's see. Bike path improvements and continual maintenance according to Public Works Department schedule regarding sidewalks and bike paths established by town administrator. Most of these things would be probably covered under the master recreational plan. I'm not particularly sure what they were talking about. Maybe they're talking about just regular maintenance with the bike paths, their scheduling. Do we have any type of scheduling
Yes.
that they use?
We do, but with the amount of staff that we have, often we're not able to follow that schedule because they get called off and they have to go to something else that's more pressing. And I think that's the problem, and that's what people are concerned about.
Are they working to maybe correct that, or?
we work every year trying to correct that, but unfortunately, when you have 3 people and, if something else comes up that's important, like a sign is down or a stop sign or some other, safety related issue, then they have to do those things first. And I think that's where the problem has been. I think Patrick's done a good job at redirecting them at trying to get back on the schedule. Right now, we've got them working on bypass because we need bypass for an issue. They need to be edged, so we're having them go through and do all the bike paths and edge them and try to get them in shape before the summer. We were gonna do sidewalks on Palmetto, but DOT said that they were gonna do sidewalks, so we thanked them very much, and we went and started working on bike paths. And then when they're doing that, that's what they're doing. They're not following the schedule and doing other things also. They may, go to the beach accesses and clear that, but they're basically focused on doing the one issue.
And they've got a lot of them, I think, looking good, in good shape right now. They've pushed them, cut the edge back quite a bit.
Well, and here's the other thing too, folks, and I think ours encapsulates what you said, we have 3 people. At some time in the future, as people demand more and more services, you're gonna have to look at increasing that department.
We really are.
Mhm.
And it's all based on budget.
I agree, it's based on budget,
We can't pay for people if we don't have money.
but we need to take a hard look at some of that.
We're gonna have to increase what?
Public work.
Just number of people.
Yeah. So, as more and more people, and we grow, people are demanding more amenities, more services, more maintenance, more everything.
Mhm.
And so, when we get to budget time, we probably need to take a hard, long look at that. So,
Agreed. I think so too. I've always been an advocate for more.
And I agree with council, and I would love to fully staff and add probably 2 more people in. And there are ways that we can do it where we can take some money from local accommodations and we can pay for it if they're doing tourism related issues, but then you're also robbing Peter to pay Paul. So you're taking from one fund where you gotta figure out what's more important, and council can guide us in that. If you decide that's more important than putting money towards beach nourishment, then that's perfectly fine, we'll hire people. But therein lies the issue. The police department has stated they need some more officers, the fire department has stated they need some more people. The Parks and Recreation Plan is going to recommend that they have a Parks and Recreation manager. We can only afford to hire so many people with the budget that we have.
when the bucket's empty, it's empty. So, anyway,
Yeah.
we can look at the budget when it comes up.
Yeah, try to find a way to be creative.
All right.
I will
Awesome.
any ways to
I
be
know.
creative.
Yeah. And then they were concerned about, or they've been always talking about the causeway and the natural plantings and the maintenance. Now, we did the maintenance, the cutting of the causeway, and that was looking nice.
DOT did it, so we can thank them.
So it wasn't the town doing it, they did that.
That's correct. We have done it in the past, and we found out they had a piece of equipment that would cut it. So we, instead of us spending money to have it done, we asked them to do it, and they did it. So, yes,
Will they do it on a regular basis?
they will.
Oh, good. Awesome.
How long did it take from your request for them to do it to
2 weeks.
2 weeks? That's
I would like,
We got lucky.
Because we have a piece of equipment that we can put out here and we can just cut all that down. I said, well, can you bring it out here and do that? And it was the same with the sidewalks. I mean, it depends on your directions. DOT has not always been known for being service friendly, and they said that they could do, Patrick's been working with them, and they said they'd do sidewalks. We were gonna have our crew pulled off and doing sidewalks. They said they have piece of equipment that they can do it, and so we're like, hey, you do that, and we'll shift our guys over and do something else that's important on our list. And so we're trying to get that relationship working so that we can utilize them more for the things that they can do. And then have our guys not doing DOT work and doing the things that we need to do for the town.
And we have made a conscious effort to have that relationship
That's correct.
with DOT. And you'll find that they do a thankless task. Most people are usually drumming on them or condemning them or whatever. And we have made a conscious effort to do positive reinforcement anytime they have done something for us, which they really deserve. So, we do work hard on that.
Mhm. They would, and if they do come back and you have to be talking to them, there's a section up there towards.
They did. I know exactly what you're
You see what I'm talking
saying.
about? And especially around those palmetto trees that look really nice come together.
I was thinking that once our guys got finished with our bike pass, we would have them go out there and do
Do
that
that.
section. And there were some other things that they didn't cut down. I don't know why. But it needed to all be cut down. And then in between the palmettos, yes. I know.
Because at one time you had planted out there on that side, some seagrass and things.
Yeah, it all got washed away in that too.
They really don't, I don't know if we have to put a request in, but as far as natural plantings, because they have talked several times at the side committee meetings about planting down the causeway and things like that. So I don't know.
That is, those are soft cedars
Mhm.
that are down there. I don't think there's any way to do maintenance or anything else on anything like that causeway.
Mhm.
And why put money into it if you can't maintain it? You can't make sure it lives.
What about a natural grass? You know, I don't know the name of the one that has
Sweetgrass.
the pretty red.
They want to put muley grass out there.
Patty,
Uh-huh.
that's another thing to trim there.
No, you don't trim these. This is the one, they have them out at Bonnie that they have the pretty red plume, you know, kind of like plumes.
It's
Oh,
pink
they
muley
run up.
grass.
I don't know if it's a big grass or what.
Some people call it pink feather, some people call it pink muley.
Right. We wouldn't have to do anything with that, but it's very attractive.
Well, I've been scanning, there and I have all these old files, and we came across the whole causeway file. Where they did put in for a planting plan through there. The problem is that there's, it looks like there's a lot of area out there, but when you start digging in that area to plant things, there's just not any room to plant it. We tried it around palmetto trees. The saltwater killed it because it does come up into that area. The concern is when you start having a small strip of property that you're planting on, it's going to encroach on that bike path, so it is going to have to be trimmed because it does get quite bushy. I have it at my house.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't know if it's feasible with the amount of real estate that's on the side next to the bike path in some of those areas. It looks more than what it actually is until you get out there and start walking it and it's undermined underneath that ledge. Maybe around those palmettos you can put it, but you still have to maintain it.
Well, and here's the other thing, the sea level rise. If you notice, the water gets mighty high, especially where you're going off the beach and the right-hand curve. Right there's a low spot, and it really comes up to the edge at high tides and stuff. So,
But maybe towards, the trees that we had trimmed, I recommended trimming, maybe there, because there's a lot of real estate there, you could put some muley grass. And then possibly by those palmetto trees, once we trim and get everything out of there and it's grown, we can try replanting it. But, I mean, it lasted years last time.
And there was a lot of work that went into it, a grant.
I'm not gonna maintain it personally, which I did the last time. Someone else can.
I'm afraid it would be damaged as well if DOT continues to help us cut the saltwater cedar that's coming up on the edging. Anything on that side would potentially be damaged by that.
Yeah, well, yeah, they go through there.
Right.
But you don't wanna cut the salt cedar except once a year. Or
Right.
else you're gonna, because you do need that to maintain that shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're on the last one there.
Control of litter on the beach and roadways.
We try.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, we've got a couple things in place, Kelly's beautification and the, beach streets, so.
Well, and there's this, when I saw this, I immediately reached out to two of the TAG committee members. Well, one specifically, and she relayed me back to Betsy Days. And I spoke to them because I wanted to know, where are you seeing it? And then Betsy came back and she said, well, I'm actually seeing it on the island when I'm riding my bike. And so, of course, I informed her of what Keep Edisto Beautiful does and our intention, and that we are for the entire island, not just the beach, not just the island. And I quickly informed them that I have a ton of ideas and a very small board and only so much time. And that volunteers are really what make our affiliate shine. I am currently working on rebranding and marketing the entire affiliate, getting some more social media stuff out, because of course that's the only way people get news anymore, unfortunately. And there's a lot of things that people need to be mindful of when it comes to litter on the beaches. There's a lot coming in from the waterways. There's a lot being blown around. There's a lot that raccoons are taking off, especially from the state park. So there is a lot that we can do, especially organized wise. But even when we have these organized cleanups, we gotta have more help. I mean, it's just impossible to do these 1 year cleanups and not have it beautiful throughout the entire year.
Well, the other thing too, I don't know if y'all know the history, but Iris and I petitioned Charleston County, and we had an in at that time with Charleston County. And the island did not get any funds, to help with keeping litter up. And Iris and I went, sat down with them, and consequently, we have an agreement with Charleston County that they pay us $18,000 a year. And we're able to hire Mr. Wright for Youth Services. And if Betsy thinks it's bad, because he picks up consistently
I think
on what's
she's,
getting for. If she's riding around the side roads, that's volunteer work.
that's right. And unfortunately, it's the same roads over and over, and education is big for our affiliate, but it's hard to educate these people within their 30s and 60s who have been littering along their entire roads their entire lives. So it's also, when it comes to the beach, I know this is a big issue. I'm not trying to open up a can of worms here, but having additional trash cans in the beach accesses would help with overflow where wind and rain isn't making litter go elsewhere other than the cans. Maybe even having more cans along busy walkways, Jungle Road. I don't know. It's just options, it's things that we can discuss with recreation planning. But I reached out to a gentleman, he's an island resident. I noticed they did a pickup on the Causeway a week or so ago, and I saw their post on Facebook, and I made a comment that we have an affiliate, gave them all the information, and I've gained about 5 or 6 additional volunteers who said they're ready to help, which I'm extremely happy for, and considering doing a pickup in February. But we also have the Great American Cleanup that we do in March, so it's like, do we want to back those up? But I'm always willing and wanting to know where people are seeing this litter and if it's in the same consistent area all the time. One thing that Edisto, as well as Charleston County of the island portion, is lacking is litter enforcement. We don't have it. We can't afford cameras to catch people. Those are $8,000 a pop. I've already looked into it for grant funds. it's just litter blows out of people's trucks. We have construction stuff and it's just, obviously I'm quite passionate about it. One thing about joining that affiliate is certainly maybe more mindful of litter, but I also realize how just an hour of help from the public would make a huge difference. If we can try to, and maybe it would help to have council, back us with clean teams and adopt a spot where people can adopt a beach access or adopt a block. And they just, walk. I'm trying to develop ways that we can stick pamphlets into rental guides to say, hey, we have a bucket challenge. You take your bucket and take a picture, social media type thing, and pass it along. So there's lots of ideas. It's just getting them out there. And right now with COVID, I feel like I'm a one-man show with that affiliate. The board is just an age where they are not getting out. It's completely understandable. I did gain one new board member, which go ahead and inform, it's Christy Outland, the joggling board family. The wife of that husband is joined the board, and I'm extremely happy to have her. I think she'll really help, but feel free to always give me feedback from Tide Committee, from a person, from anywhere, and just tell me where these spots are so that we can maybe track and see what needs to be done.
Two things have come up in the past, Kelly, that you may want to add to your list is, and this came up in recreation, is putting the trash cans closer to the beach. The second thing is, and we've had to remediate this in the past, when they went to the automated garbage pickup, if they're in a hurry, they snatch the can up. They don't even get it over the truck before they start releasing.
Yeah.
And that's when you have stuff go everywhere. So we have to watch that and make sure that they're in, the can, they're not letting it fly. Because if there's anything loose in it, they're.
Well, if they're overfilled and they're tipping, that's why they say don't have it overflowing out of your cans. Because they are doing it mechanically, when they start coming over, that stuff that's just sitting on top is going to come out of the can. I think that Kelly's done a great job, taking this over, and she's got her hands full literally with trash, but I think that a lot of it goes back to community pride. People used to have community pride, and they go out and pick up trash, now they expect somebody else to pick up trash.
Or they want to gloat about it, and we do that because we're an affiliate. We don't want to do it because I don't know. It's
And the Turtle Patrol, I can tell you right now, if the Turtle Patrol wasn't picking up trash on our beach would be trash.
absolutely.
Because they pick up tons of garbage during the season. And that's
Every single morning.
And that's from, May through October. I mean, they pick up a tremendous amount of trash. And we have some residents that walk and pick up trash every time that they walk. I just think that it's community pride, and I think that, unfortunately, our visitors don't have as much community pride. There are some regular visitors that do, but I think that we're getting some that don't. And I think that the community needs to tell those people when they're sitting on the beach and they're leaving their stuff there, that they need to pick it up.
I think the education is important.
Education is very important.
And
It's
if you can
just
get the
so
pamphlets
hard.
and the rental guys,
Mhm.
whatever you can do there, that would be a big help.
I am. I'm hoping this new logo thing will be done in the next few weeks, and we can start printing some new literature and things like that, and even having magnets and things in the home, things that won't blow and become litter. That's another thing I'm really passionate of. Just by printing more and more paperwork, it's just going to be on the ground somewhere one day. But there are ideas and things that I have. It's just implementing them. And with funds, I mean, You Go So Beautiful is obviously, as you know, funded only by grants through South Carolina Beautiful. So I haven't received what the grant money is for 2021 yet, but I'm in hopes that it's what I asked for. So
And there's a lot of municipalities, because it just came through the municipal association, they're looking at hiring litter control officer. To start ticketing people, like you said, when someone's blowing out of the vehicle.
It's very popular throughout the state, just not in certain regions and municipalities like us. I mean, we're super small. And we also have a divided county line. So that doesn't help anything. Charleston County's not gonna send anybody out here for enforcement. But when I go to those conferences, I'm just amazed at the amount of enforcement that some counties have, and it's great.
I called
Yeah.
Charleston County one day about a truck scattering trash all over down the road. It turned out to be one of their trucks coming to the convenience station out on the island. But, you know,
There's a lot that can be done, but it's sad to say there's only so much we can do, especially without the initial knowledge. So that's why I did reach out to Betsy, like, what are you seeing? What can I do now? So, yeah.
okay.
I'd like the county also was nice enough for the past 2 years to provide a special kind of litter pickup bag to all of the church patrol so that they did not have to use plastic bags to pick up litter. They use this usable bag, which is a mesh bag, which can just be rinsed out each day after you use it.
Okay.
And I have more of those too, Patty.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. So, Deborah, noticing your position, I guess it's time to establish priorities.
You're ready.
Well, you know, the thing through this whole thing was, it came through 3 or 4 different things. In my mind, the number one thing we need to work on is beach nursing. Council,
I agree. Oh, yeah.
I just made some notes as we were going through. And the second thing that came through all across between water, sewer, looking at maintenance, you know, infrastructure, all that kind of stuff, was infrastructure. And these are just but 4 categories, you know. Feel free to add subtopics under these. That's a C, Deborah. Okay, you got it. Let's start. Right. Feel free to add subtopics under this.
So they're thinking of what, water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant?
That and utility rates and sewer study and all of those things that we had several listed here, Patty. The roadways, the beach accesses, the bike paths, you know, infrastructure went through the whole thing. Okay, what would y'all suggest the third?
Well, you know, I'm always big drainage and flooding. And as we look at that, of course, to continue with the R Street, Bill Street, plan. I also want to ask again, not only that we have a dedicated schedule for keeping our ditches cleaned out, but that that council be kept current with what DOT is saying about when they can or when they cannot come out and clean their ditches, and for our people to have a definite plan for keeping our ditches clean. Because this is gonna help with drainage, it's gonna help with flooding.
Okay,
Does that entail just mowing, or are you talking about digging? What all would that entail?
There are a lot of ditches that actually have limbs and actual trees growing out of them. So all of them needs to come out. The limbs that fall, when we have a windy day, you know, the top trunks that will fall because they're concrete, most of those ditches, those all need pulled out. And if there's a tree growing in it, of course, that needs to be cut out.
who else? You know, and I don't think this needs to get too long, because these are some big projects. And if we concentrate on the big projects, then we can find a way to solve the small ones.
My small one would be the public works. But that would be my small one.
Well, they're put forward. Personnel
Yes.
or, public works. Well, streets and roads. Okay, does that suit you, Jerome?
Well, it would help with the infrastructure too.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But that's a separate budget thing that we'll have to.
Yeah.
Who else?
Is this census count realistic on getting changed?
That needs to go close to the top.
Realistically,
I couldn't really see it.
I mean, how much are we gonna spend for
Census,
how many people are we gonna add?
I think that once we get more information, then we'll decide whether we move forward with that. I mean, I think it's something that we're probably gonna have to look at, but once, Bert finds out, who is well versed in this, we'll have to find out what typically, the council will have to make a decision.
We're not gonna be the only group of people doing
No, there's gonna be so many
There'll be a
people that are
wave
gonna be appealing.
it.
the
Always
census
is, counties
year.
missed out, there's always,
For the next 10 years?
yeah.
Well, because of
There'll be a wave of
because of
counties.
COVID, and the way it was handled, I think everybody's.
Yeah.
Everybody has to show.
why don't you put down 5, Deborah? Census tracking or census count.
I mean, philosophically, yeah, it makes a big difference, the number count,
Right.
for appropriations and all that, but, when is it gonna be significant? How many, 10% change, is that gonna make a?
I think any decrease in our counts is impacting us and it's been progressive. So we had 600 and, I can't remember exactly how many, I think 623 in 2000. We went to 414 in 2020 and 2010. And now they're saying our population has decreased again, when I feel our population has been increasing and not decreasing. So I feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with our counts, and it's going to be progressively worse, because if we're trending down, they're not going to look at us very closely. I think that they're going to continue to trend us down.
Or is that a sign that we're moving from a more of we're already, we're moving away from full-time people to just rentals.
I don't see where it has shifted to the degree that they're saying it is.
And Bob, if you look at the voter roll now, these people are claiming they live here full time.
That voter thing. I know firsthand.
We all know.
We got 800 registered voters. 400 people that live here. Double the voter registration.
Yeah. And by the way, I recommend nobody gets the mailing list provided by the county.
Presidential use.
All right, anybody else? Like I said, I don't think it needs to be too long, because then you spin your wheels. And a lot of these things are stuff that's inherently done, just a matter of. Iris, you have anything?
No, ma'am.
George? Denny? Patrick, number 1? Patrick, number 2? Kelly? Mark?
Man,
Anybody from council? And I didn't ask for. All right, if not, then I will call this meeting closed.